A reading from the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 1 through 14. Oracle about Nineveh. The book of the vision of Nahum of Elcush. A jealous and avenging God is the Lord. An avenger is the Lord, and angry. The Lord brings vengeance on his adversaries and lays up wrath for his enemies. The Lord is slow to anger, yet great in power, and the Lord never leaves the guilty unpunished. In hurricane and tempest is his path, and clouds are the dust at his feet. He rebukes the sea and leaves it dry, and all the rivers he dries up. Withered are Bashan and Carmel, and the bloom of Lebanon fades. The mountains quake before him, and the hills dissolve. The earth is laid waste before him, the world and all who dwell in it. Before his wrath, who can stand firm, and who can face his blazing anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are rent asunder before him. The Lord is good, a refuge on the day of distress. He takes care of those who have recourse to him. When the flood rages, he makes an end of his opponents, and his enemies he pursues with darkness. Why are you imputing to the Lord? It is he who will make an end. The enemy shall not rise a second time. As when a tangle of thorn bush is set aflame, like dry stubble, they shall be utterly consumed. For, says the Lord, be thy ever so many and so vigorous. Still they shall be mown down and disappear. Though I have humbled you, I will humble you no more. Now will I break his yoke from off you and burst asunder your bonds. From you he came who devised evil against the Lord, the scoundrel planner. The Lord has commanded regarding you, no descendant shall come to bear your name. From your temple I will abolish the carved and the molten image. I will make your grave a mockery. Here in the book of Nahum, we see a prophecy that talks about God maybe in a way that we are not used to. God as a jealous and avenging God. This is something that seems to be immoral if we're to put our human morality to it. But we are imperfect. We do not know everything. So when we try to exact vengeance, we cannot, because we do not know. We do not know the heart of our oppressor. We do not know the heart of those who sin against us. And so we are unable to enact vengeance. Likewise, we ourselves have sinned. And so vengeance for them would mean vengeance against us as well. Whereas for God, what we see is a vengeance and a jealousy of pure and good love. A vengeance and a jealousy entirely inspired by love, but not inspired from narcissism, not inspired from wickedness, not inspired from selfishness. So, for instance, we can see sometimes there is an analogy. There is an analogy that something at a certain level will be similar when it is brought to its perfection. Something at a lower level will become similar to what it is at a greater level. So, for instance, if we talk about something like heat, you keep adding more heat, you keep adding more heat, you keep adding more heat. Okay, it gets hotter and hotter. It's fairly consistent. Now, speed is different. If you run at 10 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour, it is very different than if you run at the speed of light or if you run theoretically faster than the speed of light. There is a change. That what affects slow speeds does not affect high speeds. And in the same way, what affects low levels of love does not affect perfect love. And so God's love can be jealous, but our love cannot be, because our love is imperfect. And if we add jealousy and vengeance to our love, we find less love. We find a destruction and a corruption of love. But in perfect love, we see that things are different. And it is in this way that we can understand this vengeance and jealousy of the Lord. That it is a vengeance and jealousy that comes and is only possible in perfect love.